welcome to Global Business. I am Dr. Neva, and today I have a phenomenal guest. His name is Patrick Maitland. Welcome to the program. I am so happy you're here because you are someone with a wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, and background. And today our focus is going to be on doing business in Jamaica. Now, for those, this is the first time you're watching our program, we talk about doing business internationally for you to have an idea of what goes on around the world. And right now, we're going to talk about Jamaica. Again, Patrick, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here and to share this platform with you, which I find to be very informative. I've watched a few of the shows, and I'm quite impressed.
Thank you. So, Patrick, tell us a little about you.
Well, I'm just an ordinary guy.
No, he's not. I'm going to stop there. No, you're not. You are more than an ordinary guy.
Well, I grew up in Jamaica.
Okay.
I migrated maybe about 15, 20 years now.
Okay.
I've been trying to migrate, but over time, I still maintain a business in Jamaica. Right, I have a publication business. We do a farmer's newspaper and a farmer's guide, because my original background was really agriculture. So I actually started out journalism at a newspaper in Jamaica known as the Jamaica Record. So I was the agricultural editor for a while.
And what year, how long ago was
Sometime
this?
in the 90s, like about, well, no, I should say late 80, because I graduated from college 88, so it was about 88 to about 91, 92. So I worked there for maybe 3-4 years as agricultural editor. And then after that I started my own business in terms of the publication. I started my own agricultural newspaper and the Farmer's Guide. In addition to that, I also started public relations and corporate communications for people in the agricultural sector, right? So some of my big clients were the Ministry of Agriculture, the Extension Agency, RADA, that's the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, and several of the commodity boards, like the banana, citrus, right, livestock board.
How did you transition into that?
First, I have the background in agriculture, so I know the language, and then secondly, I focus on communication. So that was really by chance, because initially I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then yes, I wanted to be a vet. Still have a passion for animals. Cat, dogs, those are my passion.
Would you reconsider that field, or you're
not really? But I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I was hoping she would have done veterinary medicine, because she loved animals as well. Now she's more wanting to the art and the new media. She's more into that now. She's not into.
But that's you, isn't it?
I know
still
that's
you.
I know,
Yes.
Well, yeah, I would have loved that, but it would take. It's a lot of challenge to go back to medical school, to veterinary school. It's like a medical doctor.
Yeah,
so,
it takes years.
Right, and I'm pretty comfortable with what I'm doing now, because there are so many things to be done in communication and in the media. There's so many spaces out there, despite the new media, the social media. There's still a lot of spaces. So dabbling PR and hardcore media is what I'm really into now. And then focus now on the publication here, the Street Type newspaper. That also is an awesome platform, because I really don't do much of a PR type work. We do hard news, we do soft news, yes, but we look at the issues, the challenges, and the opportunities that affect the African American community and the Caribbean, Jamaican. Right? That's our focus.
Okay. And to our audience, for those that are wondering, this is a copy of his newspaper, the Street Hype newspaper. We're going to go into this a little bit more in a second, but this is published here in the United States. But you
Yes.
also have a publication in Jamaica.
Yeah, that's Agriculturalist.
Right.
And that one is published in Kingston.
Okay.
And the Farmer's Almanac. It's a bi-monthly paper.
Okay. And that's how you merge media and agriculture.
That's right.
What made you decided to merge those two?
Because there's a wide gap, there's a space for it. The communication among farmers were always limited. So the news of the farmers, you only get it when it's I would say sensational. Farmers,
Okay.
some disaster or something. So the regular day-to-day communication process were always treated badly. You know. And I remember shortly after leaving high school, I wrote a letter to the editor of another small paper named the Western Mirror. And it creates such a big buzz, and I was just explaining why the paper should focus on agriculture. It landed me a column. I was surprised. The publisher called and said, I saw the letter, I was impressed with it. Would you like to do a column? And I didn't know much about journalism at the time.
Okay.
And I started to write the column. It takes me a lot of time,
Right, writing takes a lot of time,
Right.
and you have to come up with creative ideas and
Right.
to keep individuals
So,
engaged.
So that was what sort of inspired me. And then I went to college to write for the Associate of Science degree in agriculture. So when I was at the college, it dawned on me, why don't I start a paper? And I started a college newspaper.
And I just want to say that's how businesses are born.
Yes.
The thought process, you never know where that
Maybe
creative.
little.
Yes, definitely. So are there any challenges that
will-
you have faced?
Definitely. One of the challenges you're going to face is the maintaining the cost to get the publication out. And also people that share your vision. Because not everybody, they like to read the paper, but they're not into the detailed work. It requires a lot of work. You have to research a story, you have to check if the facts are correct, and then you have to hunt the advertisement to pay for it.
So wait, you have to find people as well
Yes.
to pay for these?
To pay for the ads. You have to find advertisers. So when I was on campus, luckily I was a photographer too. And so because I take a lot of pictures. Anywhere I go, I take pictures. So I was like the campus official photographer. And so I used to make money by taking pictures of people. So many times I use my own money to fund it. And then after that now, I started to develop relationship with some business in the community,
Okay.
and they would give me ads, but it wasn't enough sometimes, and I just used my money to fund it, my photographic money.
Okay.
And after that, there was a project going on at the college. It was a USAID project, and the gentleman was so impressed with it, so he lined me up to come to Louisiana State University to look at some small publication. Everything was set to go. When already now they said, you'll have to find the airfare. I would have to find the airfare because they would take care of accommodation. So I said, no, don't bother with it. And I was very disappointed. But, they gave me a lot of support otherwise.
Okay.
We got computers. At the time computers were just being popular.
Okay.
So and I have an office, a small office like this.
Okay.
There's a big thing on the campus. But the challenge I also face now, the admin was not happy with the paper because we used to carry news that they didn't like. So they said I was exposing the college to the bad news.
So they only wanted
Right?
good news.
Wanted the good news. So we always in a fight. And I remember one time the registrar reported me to the president to say they need to do something about me on this paper because it's not putting the college in a good light. So I said, I'm sorry, I can't do that. If there's something that is wrong, we're going to highlight it. And eventually, because one of the things I follow the journalistic principle, it has to be correct, has to be factual, no malicious intent, and it's just the truth about the institution, and they just have to love me.
Okay.
And eventually, I got the support of the students and the entire community.
And this is in Jamaica.
In
correct?
Jamaica, that's
Right.
when I was in college,
Wow.
right? And then upon graduating now, the Jamaica Record newspaper just started, and this man that was doing some PR for the college,
Mm-hmm.
he called me one day and said, "There's a new newspaper starting. You just leave the college. You wanna consider that job?"
Mm-hmm.
I graduated like this Sunday, and by the Monday, I was working as agricultural editor.
Not everyone is that lucky.
Yeah,
you know
well,
this,
right.
right? Okay.
But it was always a challenge to fund it, and it was always a challenge to get the support without and to enemies too, because there are people who never like the stories, and they're gonna be vexed with you.
So,
You know?
what I'm understanding, there are people not going to like what you're saying about
Yeah.
them,
Right.
even though it's factual.
Even though it's factual, so you have enemies. It's
And you
reality.
have enemies even to this day?
I would think so. Even for this paper here, we carry some tough stories of rapists, of people involved in drugs. You know, people who have been convicted, right? And all different stories, and they don't really like it. They sometimes say that, oh, it would be best not to carry those stories because they look bad on the community. So we say, what community look bad on? They look bad on the people who committed the offense.
So if you were to compare journalism in the United States here and in Jamaica, what would you say? Would you find more challenges here or there, as far as saying individuals don't really like what you have to say? Where do you feel that you have more control?
It will be here because it's a bigger place,
Okay.
and the advertisement market is much bigger.
Mhm.
Jamaica is a smaller place, and if you get on the wrong side of a couple of people,
Mhm.
they can shut down the place,
Hmm.
right? So it would be much more easier here than in a small island, you know. But you know, after a while, sometimes you learn how to manage the process and how to create that understanding that they respect what you're doing,
Mhm.
right? So you make sure you carry their good news too, you know, and light news, right? But when the big news come, they can't tell us, "Oh, don't touch that one,"
Right.
right? But you have to understand, though, we're all human beings,
Mhm.
and we all have to compromise at times, no matter how you take it, no matter how a journalist might say, "Oh, we carry everything." Sometimes you will have to make a decision to say, you know, this one is bad,
Mhm.
but it may be a conflict of interest. It could be a family member.
Mhm.
It could be, you know, it could be right at home. And so sometimes you have to draw the line. But at the same time, you have to have this deep principle about it to be fair,
Okay.
right? You're not gonna get it right all the time. I'm not
course,
telling
yeah.
anybody that I'm gonna get it right all the
Mhm.
time. So you try to be fair and balance most of the time.
So, Patrick, have you come across individuals that want to do business in Jamaica?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, and of course, you know, and to the audience, I've done business in Jamaica, and I've faced my own challenges big time. What do you say is the culture of doing business in Jamaica? What would be your advice to individuals that want to start business there?
Okay. First you have to have your ideas.
Okay.
Your ideas have to be clear. They say, okay, I want to open a ganja store in Jamaica
A ganja.
or cannabis. Right? So you have to be clear.
Yes.
So first, just like here, you make sure you check out the existing laws or procedures
Yeah.
that govern that particular sector.
Of course, because you're not going
Right.
to just open something in someone else's
Right.
country, even if it's your own. You still
Right.
need to know the laws.
Right?
You just don't want to start something and
And right. So sometimes even from here, people go back to Jamaica and they approach it in wrong. Right? So that's the first thing. You make sure whatever you're doing, you understand all the procedures involved. Secondly, you have to make sure you have the capital. right? How are you going to finance it?
And that's
Right?
across board.
Across board, right?
Yeah.
The third thing, you have to make sure you have the resources, not the capital now. Like, you know, the things you would need down there. Like people, human resource capital, you know, just the basic things that you would need. You have to make it sound simple, but you have to make sure it's there. The next thing is it's like a SWOT analysis.
Yes.
Look at,
What is the SWOT analysis for those that may not know?
You know, you look at the strength,
The strength,
weaknesses, opportunities, and
the
and
threats.
the threats.
Yes.
So you're gonna have to look at it, no matter how you take it.
But you know, some people, they don't do that, yes?
I know,
They
I
just
know.
jump
They
in
jump
and they're
in.
ready to start business and let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, my experience with Jamaica and going back home, there's a kind of love-hate relationship. I mean, people sometimes don't like when you put it like that. They love you, they hate you.
Yes.
Because they say, oh, you're a foreigner. You go foreign, you spend all the time, and you come back here, want to rob us or want to exploit us, right? And so they can give you a hard time. And this can be of our own family members as well as the public,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The other thing is the politics. Jamaica is very, very political, no matter how you take it. So you are either the members of the People's National Party supporter or the Jamaica Labour Party. Those are the two main parties. You know, just like here. But they are very visible down there. So once you drop there, depending on who is in charge, who formed the government at the time, you have to make sure you check it out. And they say, okay, Mr. PNP, Mr. JP, you know, you have to find a way of gaining their trust, especially if you're going to be in an industry that they can easily influence.
So is there a way to be neutral?
Well, here the neutral guy now. Whatever you're doing, you invite both of them.
Okay.
You keep friends with everybody,
Okay.
right? You don't try to just friend with the PNP alone, right? You hunt down some JLP too, and you make sure
That
you're both of them
everybody.
friends, right?
Yes.
So with that now, they are going to be competing for you more of your time. So they say, oh, sorry with the PNP, you know, but let me see what I can do. Oh, I'm sorry with the JLP. So you make sure they are competing for you,
Okay.
right? So you have to do it very tactful, though, you know, because they might think you're just an opportunist.
Okay.
So you have to do it very tactful. You know, Bush Stewart in Jamaica, Gordon Bush Stewart,
Okay.
he is very good at it.
For those that don't know, who's Bush Stewart?
He's one of the most successful hotelier in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Right, he owns the Sandal Group, very big group, and also Michael Leach. They seem to be very good at. He owns the National Commercial Bank,
Yes.
right, and he was on Forbes list of billionaires.
Yes.
I
He's
think-
doing a lot of
Right.
stuff. Both gentlemen, they're
Right.
doing a lot of stuff.
And they know how to I see the relationship.
Play
with
the
both.
game.
Right. So you have to bear all of that in mind, and look for the areas of inefficiencies, because there are several areas of inefficiencies in Jamaica. You just have to look at it and say, oh, you can capitalize on it. However, the big players that maintain that inefficiency to make money, when you drop there, you have to understand that they are not just going to sit down and allow you to come in and roll over them. So you have to bear all of that in mind.
Yes.
To
As
see,
a small man coming in to try to take over a territory, you might get run over and lose your money
easily.
very easily. Patrick, one of the things that I've experienced with doing business in Jamaica, I don't know if you've experienced it, is where, number one, people try to steal your idea.
Oh yes, that's very prevalent too.
You know.
And I give you an example. I remember when the mobile money came about. This guy from Florida,
Okay.
I don't remember his name. He called me about it because I was working with Jamaican National at the time as a agent coordinator. So my
Okay.
job was to recruit agent for their money transfer business. So he gave me a call, and then I think shortly after I started the newspaper.
Okay.
He gave me a call and was telling me about this mobile money. Never have a clue about it. Then he went to Jamaica, tried to get Jamaica National, Victoria Mutual, all the banks, and everybody just shut him out. Like,
Why did they shut him out?
well, one, the idea is new, and two, they want to find a way how they can implement it.
Okay.
Right? That's what we always think they are doing. Anyway, eventually nothing happened. Then years after, the very companies now are into mobile money. Right? So I'm not gonna say they deliberately steal the idea, but he claimed that they stole his idea.
Listen,
Right?
I understand because I've
Yes.
been down that road. I've had people calling
They
me.
stole your idea too.
Put it like this, Patrick. I remember years ago wanting to start a specific school, a specialized program. And I went to a prominent school there. I'm not going to call the name. And I said, okay, I want this to be there. I sent a proposal. They confirmed that they received the proposal, and 6 months after sending the proposal, I kept calling, nothing. 6 months after, the program was in the school.
Wow. Somebody
And I looked at the curriculum, and it was the same exact thing. So I was devastated. And at that time I said, no, that's another thing. You need to, of course, know how to protect your intellectual property, many things.
It's very difficult. It's a part of investment in the country. And it's one of the reasons Jamaica don't do well with investment. Because Jamaica has about 3 or 4 arms of government that is responsible for investment. Matter of fact, almost all the government ministry has some investment portfolio, right? And guess what? It's still struggling with investment. Because if you come with an investment idea, first thing, the minister, the politician, the people in the ministry want to see how they can benefit from the idea. That's the first thing. I mean, nobody will tell it to you like that.
Yeah, but it's
right?
true.
Then secondly, they want to see if they can implement it themselves. Right?
Yes.
So what they do now, you come with the idea, they just put you on a delay mechanism. And say, oh, that sounds good. I don't know if we can manage this now, but let's think about it.
Yeah.
You hear nothing from them. 2-3 years down the road, the idea is there.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, an investment. So it's very difficult. What I think people should do though, you have an idea, you avoid sharing it with them. So you look at it, and if you don't need them,
sometimes people don't know who they're going to need, or
that's why you need to study the market properly.
And that's why you also need a professional to help you.
That's
And
right.
people
Always
fail
engage
to
a
do that.
consultant.
Get a consultant. And that's what I do. Now, my question to you now is what are the positives of doing business in
Jamaica? I would say one, the language and the people, right? 2, the proximity to America. It's very important. So you can go to the airport, and tomorrow morning, within 2 or 3 hours, you're in Jamaica.
That's from New York, and if you're in
Florida,
Florida,
1 hour time.
1 hour, yeah.
Right. The whole trade with both countries, is good democracy, human rights, everything are there. So on that grounds, it makes business easier. The currency conversion, it's like when you're in Jamaica, it's like you're in America, right? Most cases.
Yes, yes.
So, and it's not and they have strict rules and laws. So you can sue somebody there. You can, just like here. So those are some of the advantages, and the market is there too, in many cases. And also, it may be cheaper to produce the goods in Jamaica and sell it here. Right? So those are some of the advantages. But of course, you have disadvantages. You know,
Yeah.
the crime rate in Jamaica is still out of hand.
Yes, they need to control it, need to put
Right.
things in place to make things better. But yet still we, in Jamaica you still have a lot of tourists
Oh yeah.
visiting and
Mhm.
day in and day out, you know. But I want to just go back again to the Street Hype newspaper, and it's a free publication, so you
publication.
can pick up your copies for free within the tri-state.
Well, mainly New York,
Okay.
but there are copies in Connecticut and New Jersey,
Okay.
right?
And I'm so happy, and yes, I'm going to show you.
Oh, yes,
I am
yes,
actually
absolutely.
there to know. I am.
She has been an on and off columnist.
Well,
I complained that she sent the piece and I didn't publish it.
But I try to get my story out, and this time I'm going to try and be a little bit more, because I have, a few things going, doing business development, doing traveling. I travel quite
I
frequently.
know you love traveling. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so.
need to find a sponsor for that.
So in this article, I wrote the young woman starting a business. So I gave tips on doing so. But this,
A nice article.
thank you. But pick up your copy. Street Eye. I mean, you also have TV. I mean, I'm sorry, a radio program. Street Talk.
On WVIP Thursday morning, 2 to 3 p.m.
Yes, I mean, great programs, newspaper. Now, how can people find you?
We website, streethypenewspaper.com, Patrick at streethypenewspaper.com, and I'm on the social media as well, Patrick Maitland, or Patland 2000 at Facebook, on Facebook.
Okay.
Once you Google Street Hype Newspaper or Google Patrick Maitland, you will
Okay, so
find it.
again, Street Hype newspaper.com. Okay, and you're able to find them. Thank you so much.
Finish already?
Yes, we can go into another long conversation about doing business in Jamaica and doing business in general and the journalism. I mean, we can have maybe a part 2. Yes?
I would appreciate that.
Yes, definitely. We can do that. Again, I am Dr. Neva. You can find me at nevaalliance.com or dr.neva, NEVA.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, I am your global business developer. Bye-bye.